Welcome to the Wealth Genius Podcast, brought to you by the Expand Wealth Real Estate Fund. Expand your wealth by investing in apartment buildings. Go to expandwealthfund.com to book your info session. The Wealth Genius Podcast, strategies for multifamily real estate investing, mindset, community, success. The Wealth Genius Podcast with your host, the godfather of real estate, Alfonso, who has expansive experience in business and massive success as a real estate investor. The Wealth Genius Podcast. Let's dive into today's episode.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Ali, kumbaya. No, I remember meeting you, and the very first thing that we talked about was some massive deal that you were working on in Calgary.
Yeah.
I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, there's something. This guy's got some
Appreciate
fuego. And then we got to know each other. Yeah, you've come to my house.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
It's a beautiful house. Yeah,
and we over all these years, like you're a member here, you're a coach with us. So I love everything in that we have done together.
I appreciate it.
And that's why I wanted you on. You said, "Oh, I have to see my schedule." I'm like, "Dude, come on the show."
No, make it work. Yeah, make it work. It was last minute. We made it work.
Yeah. But you're here. And I think our audience is going to get a lot of value. Number one, you're not Canadian. You come from Iran.
Yeah.
And when you were in Iran, did you know that you wanted to be in real estate? Because you're an engineer type. You know what I mean?
I'm an actual engineer.
You're an actual engineer, but you're not actually an engier. You're the engineer type.
Yeah, yeah.
What I mean, it's like. You're very the way that engineers think. If you allow me to say this, it's like numbers and everything has to fit in a place.
Facts, objective. Yeah.
And real estate is just kind of not like that. Number one, it's very human oriented.
Yeah.
I know we're talking about buildings.
Yeah.
But there is the human element to it.
That's right.
And I don't know if you had that vision when you were in Iran or how did what happened?
Yeah. So I always liked construction buildings. Like I was always fascinated since I was a kid, and just seeing a piece of dirt and somebody's have a vision. They bring a bunch of material, dump it there, and a bunch of people work and it becomes somebody's home.
That's the engineer part of you, right?
The creative part I think was very fascinating for me, and. Maybe the other part of that was like when I was a kid, my late dad, he built our house himself. Like he GC'd it basically, like hired people and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And interesting enough, they had the foresight to add a second unit with the idea that when we grow up and we go to college or school or something, like you need like some additional money, they can finish that unit and rent it out. And that's what they did. My parents were both teachers. So they were always expecting that, okay, maybe at some point we need some additional cash. So when they built the house, they left the provisions for a second unit. And I remember they would save up some money and then finish a little bit of it and then save up again like next year, finish a little bit more. And eventually it was all done. So I kind of had the idea, like didn't really look at it as a business or as something. It was almost something that it's, for financial security, like we talk about. So I have experienced that. I've lived that life, and I've seen how when later on we got this massive inflation happening, double-digit inflations every year. That's what really saved our family was that. So the rents would go up as well, and now there was like additional income to the teachers' income, which it's never high enough in any country.
Yeah.
So I think that I had the idea from there, but also just watching buildings being built, houses being built was always fascinating for me. So from a young age, everybody was telling me, you'll become an engineer because you always are fascinated by things being built. So I always like to build things.
Yeah.
So I kind of had that idea since my childhood that I want to build houses.
So you're an engineer. Is this what you studied back home, or you came to Canada to study this?
So I actually studied in Malaysia. So I left Iran when I was 21 on my own.
Wow.
And went to live in Malaysia.
Malaysia, gorgeous place.
Gorgeous place, 100%.
Yeah, with the
very beautiful.
It's got those two
Twin towers.
Twin towers with the joining.
Yeah,
it
yeah.
joins
I
in
actually worked in that office. Like
Wow.
my last, I guess, position there, I was on the 44th floor, 2 stories above the Sky Bridge.
Wow.
So I worked with a company that owned those, like Petronas. They actually sponsored me to go to Malaysia. So, give them a little bit of credit for, changing lives. I got a scholarship to go and study in their university in Malaysia. That's a whole different story of like how that came about. But talking to people, it actually literally just came up that we just met some random people at a family gathering. They're like, hey, we saw this like ad in the newspaper for a scholarship. You want to apply? I'm like, why not? We'll try it. It's like, just like that changed the course of my life. I ended up in Malaysia. And it was Petronas, and then ended up working for them in oil and gas industry, working offshore. I used to fly to the offshore platforms in a helicopter, working offshore and dealing with like big projects. Like the biggest project I was involved in was like $1 billion. And just watching how those projects get managed and done, I think that has really helped me in tackling larger projects. It doesn't scare me that it has a B in front of you. You always mention that, right?
Well, it's the amount of zeros that are involved that intimidate most people.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. If they just get used to those numbers, then they can now get to the deal, whether the deal works or not.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think I was lucky to be involved in those projects as a project engineer, and kind of seeing how you deal with that. When a situation happens, you're behind the schedule, or something happens that you have to pivot, you have to solve a problem. I've been involved. I've seen how people manage those projects and kind of applying that to real estate. So I guess I was lucky in that sense. So to your question, I lived there for about almost 10 years. In 2012, I moved to Canada to do my master's. I was in Newfoundland, St. John.
Newfoundland.
Yeah.
Newfoundland.
Shout out to all my Newfie friends. Yeah.
Did you have to kiss a fish?
I did kiss the fish. I've been screeched in, so I'm technically a Newfie.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I guess there's oil and gas is up there, right?
Yeah. So I did offshore oil and gas. So that's the only place in Canada we have offshore oil and gas. I took a year off from my work, like sabbatical. Came here, did masters. I was like, I kind of like Canada. And I went back, quit my job, moved here, and ended up in Alberta.
Wow.
In Calgary.
Wow. Oil and gas.
Yeah, I worked there, and then Edmonton, and then Lloydminster, working in the oil and gas, and I saw the ups and downs there as well in oil and gas.
And one of the things I would say that might have been a shock is the weather. You went from Malaysia, like I've seen the pictures of Malaysia. I mean, it's gorgeous.
It's tropical.
Yeah, tropical, beautiful.
It's like
beaches.
Mexico.
Yeah. And then to now you're Newfoundland. What's colder, Newfoundland or Edmonton?
Edmonton is colder, but Newfoundland the weather can be quite harsh. Like you don't have a nice, beautiful snowflakes coming down. It's always a blizzard. I mean, that's where Titanic sank, like 100 kilometers off the coast of St. John. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
The icebergs. Yeah,
wow.
they call it the iceberg alley.
Wow.
That's where the icebergs come down in the summer from the Arctic, and that's where Titanic hit the iceberg and sank.
Is it there right now?
It's there, yeah. Well, that's where somebody tried to get there, and their
but
vessel
is it there?
exploded.
Is it they have never taken it out?
No, it's too deep.
Yeah, it's probably too heavy or whatnot.
Wow,
that's interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't know that,
There's actually like tours that say, this is where the thing happened.
Yeah.
So it was interesting.
Well, let's be honest. You know what I mean? Like the board was this big.
Yeah.
He could have been on the board with her. You know what I mean? Anyways, don't tell me on that tangent.
Yeah.
But she could have shared the piece, that steak that she was on.
She could have shared it.
But so now you're in Canada and you're engineer. You're living out your dream life. How in the world did you get involved with real estate? What got you there?
So 2015, I was living in Alberta. So, like I say, came to Canada with a dream. I'm going to go get a job there, stay there, live there, and whatnot. So, came back to Newfoundland, quickly realized there are not as many jobs as they advertise out there. So I had some friends in Calgary. I moved to Calgary looking for a job in oil and gas. Eventually landed a job in Edmonton, so I moved to Edmonton. I was actually in Sherwood Park. And it was interesting actually to see the developments happening there at that time as well, but as a side note. And then after about a year and a half working, that's where the reality hit. Like, I didn't even know what a layoff is. Like, that term doesn't exist outside of North America. Like, you either have a job, you do something wrong, get fired, or you keep having your job.
Yeah.
So when I first learned about layoffs, and then that was a wake-up call. And then in 2015, the company I worked for actually went bankrupt after 40 years in oil and gas industry. So we were all
so hard to even fathom, right?
Yeah.
Oil and gas, you'd think, like, if you're in that industry, it's like, Carnegie said, Rockefeller said, if you want to get rich, get in the oil. You know what I mean?
Well, we should be, but we don't want to get like into politics here. But that year coincides with, like, there's some political changes at that time, and things started going down. So, so 2015, find myself like, okay, no jobs. There was anything to apply for. So I'm like, okay, maybe that Canadian dream wasn't exactly what I thought it is. So then I was like, what else can I do? Believe it or not, I started like doing photography as a business for a while, because that was always a side hobby that I had. Photography, yeah.
That I didn't know.
Okay.
Right? So I didn't know you had any, like, if you're like a creative person. That's interesting.
I have a creative side.
Engineer to photography. So that's like polar opposites.
It is polar opposites. It is actually, yeah. And that's why I like the creative side of real estate, is creating things. And that's why I like development, because development is where you can be creative. It's a blank canvas.
Yes.
And I
see that now.
I can imagine anything and then bring it to reality. That gives me such a pleasure to say, hey, this is my vision. Now it's becoming reality. And that's very exciting. It's not about money. Money is always good, but I believe like money alone is a wrong motivation, because money, like, some years are harder than other years, like real estate and whatnot. If you're not enjoying the journey, it's gonna get really tough. And if you were just in there for money, then you say, okay, I'm gonna jump to something else, and then that you're not gonna make progress. But to weather the storm, sometimes the motivation needs to be beyond just money, because that could change every day. But so the creative side, that's what draw me to development, and actually versus construction alone. Because in construction, somebody has already designed it, somebody has already had the vision. You're just building it.
You want to be right there at the beginning.
I want to be right at the creation part, where you're envisioning something, and then bringing all the people together to bring that vision to reality. That's basically the reason I'm in development. And funny enough, like, I built a house in Lloyd. So coming back to how I got into real estate, 2015, so I did try photography, and I was like, it's hard to make money from that.
How was it? What were you doing? Like
so portraits, like, like
weddings?
No, I didn't do weddings. I was like, that's the only place you can make money.
That would be tough, man. You got these bridezillas. you got people like, you didn't take my good side. Or
actually,
whatever.
it's the riskiest thing photographers can do, because you only get one chance to like make an impression. If you mess it up, you can't say, let's have another wedding and then we do a reshoot.
Yeah.
So I did like portraits and things like that.
Cool.
But I quickly realized it's very difficult to make money in that business. So I always liked real estate, like I mentioned. And Edmonton at the time, actually now everybody's talking about Edmonton, but this thing started in 2014 in Edmonton. They were really promoting infill developments. At the time, they were allowing like 2 units on a lot. Now they allow 8. But I actually got my first education about development and home building in Canada from City of Edmonton, like putting out the materials to promote infill developments. They wanted to intensify the downtown core, which they have kept going that way, and they've always been pioneers in Canada in terms of like, city planning, urban planning, and whatnot. So that got me interested. A lot of people were doing these infill developments, like they demolished the house, built side by side duplexes, they call it out there. So I tried to do one of those, and I was like, I have the time, I have the passion. I tried to learn. And then interesting enough, I tried to pull off a partnership. So I was like, okay, I don't have the money. I mean, I don't have a job. I can't get a loan. I was talking to someone who had money, and I was talking to somebody else, a friend of mine who was a civil engineer. He was a construction manager. I'm like, okay, you support me for anything I don't know, but you don't have the time. I have the time. You have the knowledge. This person has the money. Let's get together and do a project like this. But I guess I didn't know what I know today, how to even have that conversation of how to pull off a JV. So it didn't quite work out. And eventually I got a job in Lloydminster. And it was a tough choice, right? At the time, I was thinking about, I wanted to be a business owner because I realized like in Canada, like if you're an employee, it's a false sense of security. Like your industry can tank. You can be the best employee in that industry, but if the whole industry, sank, then you're going down with it, right? Yeah. So I wanted to like have a business. I wanted to like get into development, like home building and whatnot. But they put an offer in front of me, and that's the drug they give you to forget your dreams. Yeah. Right? They would say salary is the drug they give you to forget your dreams. And I had a choice. I was like, do I take the job that was paying more than my previous job before I get laid off? And at that time, I hadn't worked for like 8 months, eating through all the savings and all that. Or I keep going with my dream. At the time, circumstances and whatnot, I decided to take the drug. So I took the job, moved to Lloydminster, but I kept the dream alive. I kept looking at how can I do this on my own until one day I saw an ad from a local credit union and say, get a mortgage to build your own house. I'm like, that's the sign. That's the sign. And I saw a sign, lots for sale, of builders who had bought lots, but to custom home builders, but they couldn't sell it because the market was down. I'm like, this is a sign. I'm seeing a sign of a lot available. I'm seeing a sign of bank advertising for construction mortgages. I started calling people. I didn't know what I'm doing. Like I started call the bank. I started call like people. I drove around, called the signs on the lots, and I told them, hey, I know you've been sitting on this for 2 years. I'll buy it like for less than what. And I knew how much they've paid for it because they all bought it from the city. So I ended up buying the lot. Like I think they had bought it for $137,000 from the city. I bought it for $130,000. Like they have been sitting on it for like a year and a half or so. So that's how it started. Bought a piece of land, started hiring architects, and I was like, I'm just going to jump in, both feet, and build it.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And, here you are.
Here I am. But the thing was, at the time, even I had the vision. The name Ecolux, I registered that in July 2017 when I bought
What does it stand for?
So I'm a mechanical engineer by trade. So I didn't want to just be another builder that builds things of yesterday. I wanted to build something that's more futuristic. And I was always, intrigued or passionate about this all alternative energy and energy efficiency and whatnot. Like when we were in school, it's mechanical engineering, they always talked about it. It was like kind of cutting edge at the time. So I was like, I want to bring that into like home building. So I want to build energy efficient homes. I learned about net zero homes and things like that, doing what engineers do, like research all that stuff. So
you guys nerd out on that.
Yeah, nerding out on that. And I still do. Like I love energy efficiency stuff. Yeah. I just don't like things to be wasted. Being energy, being money, being time, anything, right? Like why should we waste anything, right? Yeah. So at the time I wanted to build custom homes and I wanted to build them energy efficient. So my idea was to build luxury net zero homes. So it was basically eco-friendly luxury homes. So Ecolux came from there. And I wanted to be a builder initially until I learned that I want to actually be a developer, not a builder, for the reasons we just talked about, that, as a developer, you get to envision things, not just building what somebody else has envisioned. So that's where the name came from. And so built that first one, tried a bunch of like energy efficiency stuff in that one. Was really exciting. The rest, like just journey took me to bigger stuff.
Now, I just saw you guys complete this, I don't know if it's a 12-plex or, how
In
many
London?
Yeah, where you added
14 units.
14
yeah.
units, and
Added another floor. Yeah.
and I think we're talking about it like a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
How there was like one of your biggest learning curves, and you're learning so
100%,
much. And
yeah.
I think from the benefit of the audience, I would like to know what were some of the biggest takeaways from that project.
100%.
Because I know that coming out of it, you came out stronger, better, more efficient, a
100%.
better investor. You have transformed, from when I met you to now in terms of confidence. Just sheer confidence that you walk around with is different, and maybe because there was some wounds there that you had to lick some wounds, but the going for it kind of attitude, and not taking no for an answer, and having all the ups and downs. That's and then ultimately completing the project, executing, because anybody can start something, but you have to see it through. And you went through a lot of ups and downs, and so I'd want you to share that with the audience, because maybe someone listening right now is going through something similar.
That's right. And
so to give more context, it's these deals that you were currently doing, and
sure,
you can talk on that.
Yeah, so that one definitely was a challenging project for external and internal factors, right? So for context, it was a 9-unit walk-up building. It was vacant at the time that we acquired the property, and we realized that the land is big and there's like potential to add more units. So that's where kind of like land development knowledge comes handy, and that's why I always say that land development doesn't need to be a project on its own. It can be another tool in your toolkit that you might see a potential in a property that other people are not seeing, because you know how land development works. So that was a great example of that. We realized that we can add a few more units, so we put it through the application process to get additional units. So we got 5 additional units approved for. But in terms of challenges, there's a lot. I can probably write a book about it. And so with my partner Adrian, I have to give credit to him as well. We're just like staying calm in those situations, right? The first blow was the CMHC changing the rules that now you can't do refinance or
which just recently they changed back.
They just changed it back, right?
But you guys are in the middle of a project.
We were in the middle of a raise.
Yeah.
Right? So the whole the whole projections that we have was like, okay, we have a private financing, but we are applying for CMHC construction, like refinance plus construction, and they just closed that door.
So I want to stop right there, because I think that's an important point. What would you do differently? Would you have done that deal knowing that they could have potentially pulled the rug underneath you?
We would probably do it a little bit differently, right? We would probably do more cash based than leveraged.
Okay.
So I guess we always talk about like being careful with using leverage, and I think that should have been known that they could completely pull the rug under our feet, which you would typically think governments won't do that, but I guess without getting political, like that has been a trend recently. That would be one thing we'd do differently. The other one, like we were phasing the capital raise, thinking that we don't need to have everything like upfront. But that, I guess, was an exposure to like if any regulations or anything change, investors' perspective of the whole industry or the whole prospect of this strategy could change, and that's basically was one of the challenges.
I always say that to our students. Don't be afraid to overcapitalize, overraise. There's never been a time that someone has said, "Oh, I have too much money."
It's never too much.
You know what I mean? It's like expect for things to go wrong.
That's right.
That's pretty much what you can guarantee.
Yeah.
Because there's so many moving parts. You got policy. You got you got this, CMHC aspect of it where, from a government perspective, the idea was to create a lot of units, and they just didn't achieve that.
No.
Right. But because mostly people were using that strategy to refurbish, right? Refurbish existing units, which, you know, in some ways it does create more of the problem.
That's right.
By you adding a second floor, you're adding more units. You're actually solving. You're contributing to the solution of the problem.
But yeah, no, we thought that maybe for that reason we would be exempt or something. We tried all different things, but they're like, no, the rule is like, because you have a refinance component and you have a private loan, you can't pay that out. You have to hold it. And to your point, like, you know, that was something that we didn't anticipate. I don't think anybody was anticipating that. Yeah. And so basically 4 months into the project, we have like investors that have, you know, given soft commitments and all that. Some had already, you know, subscribed and whatnot. And then all of a sudden the rule changes. And now that we were thinking like we're going to get this done and get the basically CMHC financing and, you know, we can return some of the capital, get this faster, all of that changed. Our projections changed. Now we had to hold it for 2 years before we can refinance. So the returns, everything changed. And then some of those soft commitments, they all evaporated because the project was different now.
Yeah.
But that was due to something like none of our own fault. Like to your point, like, yeah, maybe, I don't know, it would be a wild guess to think. Like in risk management, we call it the black swan. It's like something that you didn't expect. It's like COVID.
Yeah,
it was a black swan. Like nobody could have seen that happening. But now we know that, like, at least for now, the way the government has been operating, you always have to be prepared for drastic changes on a whim. So that was a big lesson learned.
So for the audience and the people that are listening, are, you know, that either haven't gone through that before, or maybe are going through that right now, where they were expecting to do something, and what they were expecting didn't work out, and they're sitting there and they already bought the property. Like, what was going through your mind? Like, what were you feeling? Like, was it like, oh, shoot, you know what I mean?
Well,
like,
there was definitely a lot of moments like that. But like keeping calm in those situations, it was important. So we would sit down, you know, with Adrian and just spend hours like brainstorming, like, what can we do?
Nice.
What is, like, okay, like, we can't change the CMHC rules. What are our options? One of the things that comes very handy is being part of a network.
I thought you were going to say alcohol, but no.
Alcohol, no. Luckily, no.
I'm just joking.
Meditation for sure. Meditation, like, you know, that definitely helps. Actually, meditation helps a lot. You know, in those times that you need to, you know, calm your brain.
Ground yourself.
Ground yourself. Control the stress, the anxiety. I'm not going to lie. It was very stressful, right? Like, you get a news like that. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, and then you're saying community. Yeah.
So another big factor, this was huge, was having people in the network, being part of a community that you can reach out and just brainstorm, right? Because we were not the only people who were dealing with this issue, right? There was a whole bunch of people. And unfortunately, some of them didn't survive that hit, right?
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
Yeah, that was unfortunate, and some of it was not their fault. But but anyways, so reaching out to people in the network, brainstorming. I know we talked about it a few times, and just trying to find creative ways to get around it, right? You know, if raising capital one way doesn't work, like, you know, leveraging other properties, you know, securing on other properties that we had, you know, maybe even selling some properties. Just have to reach out to like every possible way to get to weather the storm, right? And CMHC eventually did revert back on that. I mean, they've already caused damage, but what
was the thinking behind that? What was the what do you think their philosophy was on why they did that? Was it because too many people were using the product, or they weren't using it in the right way? Like, what happened there?
From what I've heard, it was like you mentioned, like a lot of people were using this to renovate units, and they wanted to stop renovictions. So I think that was the idea, to stop that. But they applied it retroactively. So that was a problem. If they would have said
it's coming
coming,
like we'll do this in 6
anyone,
months.
yeah, exactly, like even 3 months or like 2 weeks from now, if you're closing your property or you're purchasing your property from this date in 2 weeks, you can't use this program anymore. That would have been fine. But it's just swinging to the two extremes, right? Like removing the whole thing and then putting it on everything. I feel like there's like probably lack of consultation with the industry before they change rules, and they make it on a like kind of a quick notice.
Band-Aid. Rip the Band-Aid.
And it's a Band-Aid, and just rip the Band-Aid or cold turkey kind of style. So I think that caused a lot of issues. But the way I describe it for us, it was almost like, you know, if you watch UFC, you're like in a chokehold. Yeah. And you're like, you know, you're almost like passing out or tapping out, or you just hang in there and find a way out of the chokehold. I think we managed to hang in there, you know, just leveraging the community, all the creative strategies, and luckily they removed that chokehold from us. And, you know, there has been damage for sure, like on the project, but luckily we had some buffer in the returns and all that is still a great project, and we're almost 50%. And we're not talking.
And I saw some pictures. It looks gorgeous.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's such a great feeling. Like now taking the stairs to the new floor and standing in there and thinking like, again, this is the vision that we brought to life. And it's been a lot of work. We've put a lot of time and energy into it. And again, credit to my partner Adrian as well, that we've put a lot of effort into this, and it's really an amazing feeling to see that coming true. We're almost at lockup stage. Like I think they're putting sidings as we're speaking now. And we're going to be in drywall and occupancy in March. So that's going to be really exciting. It's going to be a gorgeous building. Everything is almost brand new in there. And we're very excited about it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It reminds me of a Mike Tyson quote. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. Yeah. And, you know, the fact that you're going to get punched in the face at some point, it's inevitable, or else you're not trying, you're not doing something. Exactly. Right? Exactly. And so you just got to know what to do. It's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get knocked down and get back up. 100%. So 100%. You should be very proud of yourself, you and Adrian. Thank you. And, you know, you're a great part of our community, a leader within our community. Thank you. And I know that a lot of people are going to get value from this episode. I hope so you've brought the goods here, sir. Thank you. One last thing before we wrap up here. You know, I always ask our guests, you know, what are the things that they live by, mantras, quotes? What inspires you, or maybe like what made you dig deep, really deep, and you know, got you moving forward regardless of all the punching to the face, you know? It's, I would say, like believing in yourself, believing that you can do it. Yeah, also belief in yourself. Yeah, believing in yourself. Obviously, you need the support from the community and whatnot. And maybe it's like, if there's a will, there's a way. That's, you know, one of my very first mentors, like at my previous life, like professional life. That was the thing, and even in life, like my dad would always say, like if there's a will, there's a way, and if there's a will, there's a way, and 100%. That is so true. Like if you can find a way to keep moving forward, 100%. Keep taking a step, like one step in front of the other. You know, inch by inch can be a cinch, yard by yard can be very hard, right? So as long as you put one step in front of another, you know, if you have the will, you will find a way. Ali, thank you for coming. Thank you. Thanks for having me. My brother went through traffic and everything just to get here for our people, so I appreciate it. When Alfonso calls, we answer. You bring a lot of value to the community. Like this group has been amazing to be part of, and you know, the amount of motivation and energy that you always bring, it's an inspiration, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I hope the listeners or anyone watching this, they get some value out of it. Thank you again for having me here. And that's it. Alfonso loves you. It says so on this cup right here, and we'll see you at the top. Woo! Woo!
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Wealth Genius Podcast, presented in part by Expand Investor Conference, this May 16th to 18th in Edmonton, Alberta. Get your tickets now at wealthgenius.ai/expand, and we'll see you at the top.